Hi creative, welcome to this channel. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and leave this video a thumbs up. It is absolutely free. So let's go ahead and create this beautiful and cute dress. Now looking at the dress we're about to recreate, you can see it has a joining in the middle, that's on the waist part. So I'm just going to go ahead and create the top pattern first, and then I'll go ahead and develop the skirt pattern and join the two together to get a whole full dress. Now the width on my pattern paper is my round bust divided by 4. That is how wide my brown paper is. And as for the length is going to be from my off shoulder to my waist point. So go ahead and place the tape on your off shoulder to your waist point, and then that should be the length on your pattern paper. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1 inch on the top of the pattern paper. This is just going to enable me create the armhole. I just like to take 1 inch first before I go ahead and create the armhole. Now after the 1 inch, I'm just going to go ahead and go down by 3 inches, and then I'll go in by 3 inches. I am creating the armhole for the off shoulder dress, and I picked this side to be the side where the armhole is going to sit. So go ahead and connect your points together using your curve ruler or your freehand and adjust if you have to. Now on the other side, which is going to be acting as the center front of the dress, I'll place the tape and go down by 6 inches. And then I'll just go ahead and connect the 6 inches to the armhole like this. Now on this part, you can go ahead and determine how you want the shape to be, and then if you want to use your curve ruler to connect this point, go ahead and do that, but I'm using the straight ruler, and then I'll just go in with my free hand and then make the shape I want it to be. I'm just adjusting this how I want it to be. I'll just go ahead and rule a line like this to the waist point. So the base of the pattern is going to be acting as the waist point, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect to the waist. Now the difference on this point, that's on the front part, is 2 inches. This is because I'm going to be adding, I'm going to be cutting this front part with the front tie. That's why I made the middle 2 inches wide. So if you want your tie to be wider than this, you can decide to make it 3 inches, so you make the difference in the front 3 inches. I'll bring in a fresh pattern paper and place the front on it because I want to create that tie, the front tie. Like I said, I'll be cutting it together with the front piece. Like the tie, I'm going to be cutting it together with the front, so that is why I added the fresh brown paper, and I decided to shaping it how I want it to look. And the length of this front tie is 12 inches for me, and if you have a bigger bust, you can decide to make it longer. So this is the front piece basically, and that is it. Now drafting out the back, I'm just going to mark 1.5 inch for the zip allowance first before I go ahead and create the armhole. So this part is the zip allowance. Now just fold in the front tie, and then I'll place the front pattern on the back, and I'll trace out the armhole like this. And then I'll just go ahead and connect the base of the armhole straight down to the pattern paper, and I'll cut this out. This is the back piece. Very simple. Okay, so you guys remember to mark your waist, your round waist measurements. That's after you divide your round waist, remember to mark that on the base of your back piece. Just mark your round waist and connect it to the armhole. So this is the back piece of the top, and this is the front piece of the top. Now let's draft out the skirt part. That's the base of the dress. I'll go ahead and mark 1.5 inch, and this is going to serve as a zip allowance. I'll go ahead and rule a straight line to indicate that this is where the zip will be sitting, and then I'll fold this in to mark my horizontal and vertical measurements. On the top of the pattern, I'm just going to mark my round waist divided by 4. And then I'll go down and mark my hip points. So I'm just going to mark my vertical measurement, that's my hip points. And then I'll rule an horizontal line on that point so I can be able to mark my round hip. So I'll go ahead and divide my round hip by 4 and mark it down on the hip line. And then I'm connecting the hip line to the waist, and then I'll connect this straight down. So this is just a skirt pattern, very simple. This is how you draft out a skirt pattern. But this is short because the dress I am about to achieve, the dress is short, but then there is another fabric that completes this dress, and the fabric we have to be complete. Now I just adjusted the zip allowance on the pattern paper, and you guys, that is it. This pattern paper is acting as the front and the back pattern. That is why it has a zip allowance. So when I'm cutting, I'll fold this in as the front, and when I'm cutting the back, I'll fold the zip part out. Cutting on the fabric, I just folded my fabric into 2. Always important. That's the first step you do. You fold your fabric into 2 and you place your pattern. Now I'm just going to cut out the back piece of this dress. So I have the back piece of the top and the back piece of the skirt with all their zip allowance out. When you're cutting your pattern on your fabric, remember to leave allowance. Don't forget to do that. Always remember to leave allowance when you're cutting. Like I said, it is better for the dress to be oversized, so you can resize it into your size, your actual size. They need to be too small, and when that happens, there is nothing else you can do about it. So now on the cutting the front part of the skirt, I folded in the zip parts, and then I placed the pattern on my folded fabric and cut. So this part now is the front of the dress. I'm just going to shape in the waist part, and that is it. And then I'll indicate the wrong side of the dress. Okay, I already did that. Now for the front of the dress, that's the top part, I cut out 4 pieces because each piece has its facing. So I cut out the front piece with its facing. So I'm going to be joining 2 pieces together, and then I'm just going to sew on the side, on the base like this. So I'll just go ahead and sew. I will be leaving out the armhole, but every other side I'll be sewing that in. And then on the back piece of the top, I'm going to go ahead and sew in the zip line. And so when I flip it, like that is how it's going to look. So I am done sewing. I'm just going to flip this to the right side and iron this down. So I just want to make it flat before I go ahead and attach this to the back piece of the top. So I have my front tie ready, and so this is how it's going to look. I'll go ahead and attach this front to the back of the top, so we can move ahead to the skirt parts. So this is it. I have my zip allowance sewn in, and then I went ahead to hem the top of the back. So I hemmed this in. So now just go ahead and place the front on the back piece, and I'll go ahead and sew in the sides like this by 1/2 inch. And you guys, this fabric is a bit stretchy, so I decided to close in the zip, and this dress is no longer going to have zip. I didn't know it was going to really stretch this much, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew in the zip part on the skirts. I'll sew that in just like I did on the back piece of the top. So I'll sew that in. And then for the front piece of the skirt, I'll be cutting the facing. I have a fabric already I cut out for the facing. I'm just going to go ahead and fold this into 2, and then I'll place my front piece like this, and I'll go ahead and cut out the facing. So I'm just going to place the facing on the front piece of the dress and or the skirt, sorry, and I'll sew this by 1/4 inch. And while I'm doing that, I'll go ahead and hem the base of the facing so I have a clean finish. So this is it. This is how it looks. I also decided to top stitch. Now I'm just going to sew this back piece of the skirt to the front piece. So like I said, I decided to close in the zip parts of the skirts. Also the same thing I did on the top. I'm not going to be using zip for this anymore because I realized that the fabric really stretches. Now I am done joining the front piece of the skirt and the back piece. I'm just going to go ahead and join the top and the skirts together like this. So I'll pin this down and I'll take to the machine to sew. We are almost coming to the end of this video. So this is the fabric that is going to be on the base of the dress. So we're going to go ahead and make pleats, but this fabric is 94 inches long. And now to make the pleats, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 2 inches apart. So I'll just mark 2 inches apart. I'll keep doing this to the end of the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the pleats like this. I'm just picking a point of 1-2 inch and placing it on the other 2 inch. Just look at the way I'm making the video. If you need to pause or you need to slow this down, please do, so you understand how I made the plates. So once I was done making the plates, I'm just going to go ahead and pin the plates to the dress and then take it to my machine to sew. So this is the results I have here, and I'm loving this already. So now moving to the armhole, I'm just going to place my tape and find out what I have on the armhole so that I can go ahead and cut my sleeves out. So this is where the difference between the dress on the picture and the dress I'm making, the difference is on the sleeves, because I'm going to be making different kind of sleeves. The fabric that I have left is not going to be enough for the kind of sleeves on the dress we're about to make. So on the top of the fabric for my sleeves, I folded in 1 inch before I started marking my armhole on the sleeves, and the width of the sleeves is 10 inches folded into 2. So I'll just go ahead and mark 3 inches, and then I'll go down by 3 inches. I'm just trying to create the armhole. And you guys, that 1 inch I left on the top of this sleeves is for me to be able to create channel for the elastic. That is why I left that 1 inch. Go ahead and create channel that will be able to take the elastic you're using. If you're using the 1 inch elastic, make sure you create channel that can be able to accommodate your 1 inch elastic. But the elastic I'm using is a 1/2 inch elastic. So on the top of the sleeves, I'm just going to go ahead and hem this in so I can be able to pass my elastic through. And also on the base of the sleeves, I'll be creating channel for elastic too. So I am done doing that. I hemmed this in already, and this is the elastic, the 1/2 inch elastic I talked about. I'm just going to go ahead and pass this through the channel I created both on the top and on the base of the sleeves. And this is it. So the last part of this video is for me to go ahead and attach the sleeves to the dress, and here you have it. That is how I was able to recreate this dress. I love the outcome of my dress, and I love the fact that the process I used was very simple for me, and I hope it is very simple for you too when you are about to create yours. I hope the steps are very simple and detailed enough for you. So you guys, let's go ahead and see the results of this whole process. And thank you guys for watching.